Well, of course, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ have had 8 straight days in a row up. So profit taking would not be, a shock. And Tesla has had a new coverage started this morning, and that probably is affecting the Tesla stock this morning. So there's not a lot of good news as the stock market opens this morning, with the market heading towards red, even though it's in the green slightly right now, but it was much higher in the green earlier, and with Tesla now down $5. Anyway, there's also some concern about a Powell speech later today, and whether or not maybe there's a higher risk than everybody thought that the interest rates will have another pop up. Anyway, the bond rally is now stalled this morning after some profit taking there as well. This is Randy Kirk, the optimist this morning, trying to be optimistic, but might be kind of a rough day in the stock market. Hit like and subscribe, even if you like the show when I can't bring you 100% good news. And then hit subscribe, notify, all that jazz, and join Patreon. Thank you very much. Again, more folks joining Patreon yesterday and more people buying Cybertrucks yesterday. So this is good. And let's talk about the good news. And we'll mix in the news that has to be there because we don't want to be crazy Pollyannic. Okay, we're now just 21 days away from the Cybertruck event. I don't believe the market is even slightly pricing in the potential for that next phase of the Tesla business. This might be due to the fact that Elon has pointed out that the profits on this are, way out there, probably not till serious profits until 2025, serious volume until 2025. But I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for catalysts out of this event coming up, and I think the FOMO will start. I believe we'll see as we get closer and closer, there will be some evidence that people are buying the stock because of the Cybertruck coming. And then afterwards, the halo effect that Gary Black and others have been talking about, I agree with that. I've called the new Cybertruck potentially the most photographed product in history. And once it's out there and around town, the photographs will be popping all the time. And I think this is going to definitely have an effect downstream on the automobiles. The bonds have had a nice rally for the past week, with rates coming down as low as 4.45 yesterday. But there seems to be some fear about the statement that Chairman Powell did make a couple of weeks ago when he said, look, I'm thinking, it looks like maybe, and we at the Fed hope that the bond market will do some of the work for us, keeping credit tight. Well, the banks are definitely keeping credit tight, so don't forget that, Chairman Powell, according to the report that you guys came out with just a few days ago. But the interest rates have come down, and that means mortgage rates are coming down, as I reported last night. And so there's now worry that as these are coming down, that the Fed will go, well, if the markets are not going to take care of the job for us, and they're going to keep this cash flowing by lowering interest rates, we might have to jump in and raise another quarter. Anyway, he's stated to speak later today, and pretty much all the headlines are suggesting that there's jitters around what he might say today, which is causing the stock market to, again, remember, we've had 8 days in a row up, so on the S&P and NASDAQ. Anyway, jobless claims came in today. They declined by 3,000 from a revised 2,000 the prior week, but the numbers this week were at 217, slightly down compared to last week, but very typical kinds of numbers that you'd expect in a strong labor market. So nothing there to indicate that this business cycle has reached its peak yet. Reminding you once again that the CPI numbers will come in next week, so that is also got to start being on some people's mind. CNBC says this. He says they say the earnings season is winding down now, and it's been mostly good so far. out of the approximately 88% of the companies in the S&P 500 that have reported, more than 88% have surpassed. That's high. Normally it's around 80% that surpass. 88% have surpassed earnings estimates. However, only 62% have beaten revenue expectations. Well, all that sounds really, really good. Well, no, okay, it's not great that they're not beating revenue expectations, but since they're beating earnings expectations, even after having missed on revenue, that means what? Oh, that means they're getting more productive, and that's a good thing, and CME says. But they've so far managed to expand their margins by cutting costs. All right, well, we've got Polestar saying this morning that they have reset their business plan, lowering unit sales and margin expectations. They still plan to hit profits by 2025, but the street thinks it'll be 2027. Polestar is one of the ones I believe will be along with their sister company, Volvo. I think those are two companies that will still be in business in 2010 as they make their move to electric cars much quicker than most of the other companies out there. They're a division really of Geely, and Geely also is moving rapidly towards being fully electric. Also this morning, sister company, sister company. I'm reading what I said here, and I said it wrong. Sister company Volvo has ordered a couple of gigapresses, adding to the list of companies that have realized that this is the future. Tesla, again, charting the way. It's going to be interesting to see as these different companies that are doing the gigapresses come out with their product, just how good they are, whether they are able to, in fact, move in the path that Tesla has set. Okay, as mentioned, HSBC initiated coverage of Tesla with a price target of 160. Interestingly, they see the future of Tesla as robots and energy and addition to their car business, but they just think it's going to take longer to get there than others do. They say this, though, also about Elon, and this is quoted in The Street. Elon Musk's global fame has afforded the group a customer awareness that far outweighs the money it has spent on marketing and advertising, which is therefore a tangible benefit to the profit and loss statement, according to Tyndall of HSBC. Leaving aside the current legal issues Elon Musk faces, we think his prominence presents a considerable single-man risk for the Tesla group. So that would be a situation where that might be a better argument than any of those that have been made so far for the advertising to start, in order to not make Tesla so dependent on Elon Musk's salesmanship and his worldwide exposure. Tesla shares were marked lower in pre-market trading, as I've mentioned, and they did open even lower than that. So we'll see what happens later today. Short interest in Tesla stock, however, remains elevated at one of the highest levels in the world. I guess ExxonMobil actually passed them this last week, but investors are placing bets against a group of around 18.63 billion, or 3% of the stock's entire float. That's coming from S3 Partners. So when you have that much short exposure, what do you have? You have the opportunity for a short squeeze. What we might be looking at this morning is Tesla testing the 215 again. And if it bounces successfully off the 215, that could actually start the next rally without any news at all. We could have a rally that's completely technical. Remember, my philosophy, this is not investment advice, it's just Randy's, the way I do things. I look at the overall economy. I look at the stock market as a whole, the macro. I look at the company's fundamentals, and I do look at the very last thing I look at after everything else is the technicals, because the technicals are sometimes self-reinforcing. There's so many people out there that believe the technicals that when we hit some technical patterns, then there are people who are guided to buy or sell based on those technicals. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? So we have to look at that. It has to be part of the overall look, in my humble opinion. The price increases in China were also less than expected, like $250 and $500. That might also be pushing down on the stock a little bit this morning. On the really good news front, this is from Genevieve Roch-Decter, ROCH/Decter, DECTER. She's on X. She says this morning, American gasoline demand to hit 20-year low. Per capita fuel use will plunge to the lowest level in 2 decades, according to a new U.S. government forecast. Average Americans will consume 402 gallons of fuel next year, which is a 15% drop from 2004. Why? Well, it's suggested this because of high gas prices, inflation, fuel efficiency, and EVs. Fuel efficiency, yes. EVs, even more so. Okay. There has been a leak of Cybertruck specs. Now, this was widely reported yesterday, so I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to hit a couple of high spots. The tow rating came in at 11,000 pounds, if this is correct. And the weight capacity, no, that's it. You know what? That's it. I will put all of the specs down in the description below if you want to look at the details of the size of the truck to see if it's going to fit in your garage. Maybe you want to see the size of the bed. I mean, all these kinds of things. The bed length, by the way, is just barely over 6 feet long and 51 inches wide. There's another one that might be important to you if you are going to use it actually as a truck, as opposed to just a status symbol, which many folks think that this is only going to be a status symbol truck. I am not one of those. I think this will definitely be a work truck, but we will see. We will see what we will see. All right. So let's take a look at the numbers and see if there's been any improvement. There has not. Okay. So now the NASDAQ has ticked back slightly up, but it's at $21 higher this morning, with the Dow Jones down 20 and the S&P up $2.33. Tesla continues looking like they're going to, maybe they're not going to test the 215. They're sitting at 216.80 right now, and it has also begun to tick up. So basically, looking at everybody has kind of bounced off their a low point this morning and is starting back up at this exact moment. This would include most of the Majestic 7 and the ARC. The Cathie Wood stocks are mixed, but also just mixed. I think that's the best thing I can say right now is mixed. Let's look and see what some of the other numbers are this morning. We have got the Bitcoin dramatically up this morning, back to the whole business about the being listed on this I'm forgetting the one of those three-letter acronyms. Anyway, it is up 2,200 points this morning at almost 38. That's wild and crazy. The euro's doing okay against the dollar this morning, so dollar down just a bit against the euro. Gold rebounding a little bit off after it has been slammed for the last week, sitting at 1962. We have oil edging back up also after being slammed, but still at $76. Who knew? I didn't predict it would slide beyond the $80 range, down into the 70s. But however, I did see an article this morning that was saying that the drawdown from the rather reduced supplies in the United States, the drawdown has been minuscule. And that is apparently part of the reason why oil is dropping so fast. And if you look at natural gas, it is down again this morning and has been down radically. Gasoline prices are down massively because there's just plenty of supply. And so far, I mean, I know it's only November 9 today, but so far, mild winter. And some people are saying the first half of winter will be mild. So that's going to also affect oil prices across the board. Okay, so then we have bonds, and bonds are sitting at 4.535, up slightly, up 2 basis points this morning on the 10-year. And the 2-year is also up 2 basis points this morning. Actually, the 10-year is now up almost 3 basis points. That's 2.5. Anyways, changing by the second, as it does, of course. But the 2-year is also up 2 basis points this morning. The 2-month is basically flat. So the 2-month continues to extend the inversion, which is, as we know, not normal. Skipping back just for fun, even though it's bad news, skipping back to Tesla, it is now continuing to move upwards somewhat this morning. So what else do we want to talk about? Okay, yesterday, if you want to go back, I'm highly recommending you do this. It is a master's level class. I know that sounds braggadocious. I don't intend it to be, but if in understanding the full economy and understanding how the stock market acts and how the bond market acts, it's really important to know why this move yesterday by Trueflation was so important. Now, by the way, Trueflation is down a little bit this morning, but still just slightly over 3%. But I went through it in a lot of detail, and you might want to go back and take a look at that video. If you didn't already do that, I will put a card right here. Of course, my sales numbers right now are looking very good. I think it's going to be a very good Christmas item. So, time for you to get yours. I'm not going to run out. I'm not going to make that claim. The company that supplies these to me has lots of them, so don't worry about running out. But this would be a great time to buy. $25 for one. You get a deal at two at $45, so that drops it to $22.50 each. You get an even better deal at three. You get that for $65. I can't do that in my head. Well, I could. It's just under $22 each. And then if you buy 10, it's $220. That's easy. No, is that right? Is it 220 or is it 210? I don't remember now. It's in the description below. It's time for you to buy your Cybertruck, or if you want to, get it for free by joining Patreon at the $10 level. Or if you prefer, you can get 2 books out of the 4 books that are on audio, 4 of my books that are on audio. You get to pick 2 of those if you join at the $10 level. Okay, so I think that's all I've got for you, other than taking one last look at back down again. It went down rather radically, and now it's playing around at that 216.50 level right now, bouncing around. I will be back in a few hours. I'm going to do the Q&A. I think yesterday I was going to do the Q&A. I didn't do the Q&A because of that breaking news on Trueflation. And there might be something breaking today that I feel is more important, but otherwise I'm planning to do that Q&A around 11 o'clock this morning, California time. And then our regular show, our Good News Thursday night show, where we kind of duplicate this show after the market and we find out, what did the Fed chairman say? Hey, it's been great talking to you.